Right, so I haven't made a Mr. Pandaria video for a while, and they changed a bunch of stuff lately, so I thought I'd go over a bunch of the new stuff, a bunch of the changes, what I thought was good, bad, what I'll be using, that sort of stuff. I'm pretty much just going to do it on the fly and see what happens, so there's not really going to be too much order or structure to it. But yeah, fuck it, bear life. So, first of all, I got full PvP gear. You can just buy it off a vendor for free, which is handy because it tests. You can test out, how your stats are going to be, how much regen you're going to have. I've got old gems, and I've got a couple of new enchants, mostly old ones or none at all. So I'm like missing a few stats. But on the other hand, I have this bugged wand, which is jacking up my spell power by like 7k too much or something like that. Which I'm sure they'll nerf in the near future, because mages are using it and getting like 120k Frostfire bolt crits and stuff, which is like insane. But yeah, enough on that. So I was dueling a mage the other day, and priest versus mage seems not that balanced at all. I'll show you a duel here, and the final score was something like 30 wins for him, 1 win for me. So this is like some random guy who hasn't played mage before, so you can tell that it's kind of somewhat out of balance. Mage damage, according to him, he thinks is a bit high, so that might be one of the things. I seem to be going even fairly fast. Shadow Fiend, although a 1 minute cooldown, only gives 1% mana per hit, so you really need to get them out on cooldown and make them count, otherwise you're going to go even. The only other way you're getting mana back is Hymn of Hope, because Rapture seems to be giving like 6k mana. Let's have a look at that. Yeah. So maybe I need more spirit, I don't know, but it's not doing it off base mana anymore, it's doing it off spirit. So maybe that's the issue. There is actually a spell that gives you mana, which you have to take instead of Mindbender, which means you have the old crappy Shadow Fiend. And I guess you'll use that instead of Smite, but to be honest, damage on it isn't that good. It's like half the damage of Smite, and it restores like 2% mana. Out of all the duels that I did, this one actually went the best, and even this one was really close. The damage a mage can put out if you fuck up like once is just crazy. You really got to try and avoid the orbs, because they get finger and frost procs from that. And if you get deeped on like 50%, you're pretty much dead if you don't have a trinket. I'm using Fade and Spectral Guides on cooldown basically to just try and avoid as much stuff as I can. Like if I think he's going to deep me, I'll try and Fade. If I think he's going to deep me, I'll Spectral Guides if I don't have Fade. And Aura Mastery in CS is pretty key as well. Here I get off a nice Fade just out of the deep freeze, and then manage to Aura Mastery the CS, and that gets me out of trouble. Now I've got him low, and he's in trouble, and he's got no Evocate anymore, so I'm just chasing him down basically and trying to get to him and get him dead before his deep freeze comes back up again. It's basically a race. Spectral Guise is great, really good talent, really well designed. You can use it on mount as well, and it basically just makes you invisible, puts down a copy of yourself like this for 6 seconds, and if the thing gets hit 3 times you come out. So that's great for running in on mount at, in the opener and getting a fear. I think that'll be a main use of it, and the cooldown's only 30 seconds, so that's massive. A couple of other things are baseline now. Along with Rapture you get Train of Thought baseline, so when you greater heal, the cooldown of inner focus is reduced, and when you smite, the cooldown of penance is reduced, which is kind of nice. It encourages people to use greater heal more and think about it instead of just spamming flash heal. Manas are very similar. In fact, they're the same. Greater heal heals for a bit more, but the cast time's a second longer. So you got that to bear in mind. What else have I got? Strength of Soul, that's from a glyph. That's my aura mastery. They changed Spirit Shell. It's now a buff. It's like you pop it, lasts 15 seconds, and when you heal, your healing counts as absorb instead. Only stacks up to like 60% or so of your HP. Let's see what it does with greater heal. Not too late. You can actually get some massive greater heals though, as you've seen there. 240k. That's like, again, like 60-70% of my health bar. Whereas flash heal, 90k. Let's try and get a crit. 180k. So that's about 40%, which isn't too bad for a crit. So Disc Priest healing is slightly more than it was at 85. At 85, Disc Priest healing is really weak, which is nice. Shield absorbing 104k for me at the moment. Bear in mind that is with the bugged wand, so it'll be slightly less in the first season on retail. I actually do have a lot of mastery on my gear, along with PvP power. I either took haste spirit or haste mastery gear when there was no spirit available. I never took spirit crit. I always avoided crit. Not sure if this is a mistake on my part, but I ended up with a lot of mastery. As you can see, I got 35% mastery, which is pretty crazy. And although I stacked quite a bit of haste, I got 5k haste, I still only have 10%, so haste not looking to be that great once again, which is a shame. I have 17% damage reduction from 6k resilience. Again, I've got every item in PvP, I've socketed some resilience, so it should be around there since I don't have enchants yet. Maybe slightly more, maybe possible to get like 20% damage reduction, something like that. PvP power, I haven't like stacked anything. I don't know if you can gem it, I have no idea. They haven't brought out gems yet. But that's quite nice compared to PvE gear. An extra 15% damage. I'm hoping that it's enough to sway people to go PvP gear. Alright, so some of the other spells. Well, I'll go through the talents first. I took Dominate Mind over Psyfiend. I tried Psyfiend. The AI is terrible. The cooldown is 45 seconds, which is really annoying. It takes the cooldown of your fear. Void Tendrils I haven't tried, but I imagine it'll be very nice against cleave teams or teams you don't need that extra bit of CC in mind control. But at the end of the day, I like mind control. I feel it makes you a lot more versatile. When you get locked out, you've got something to do. Especially since they removed Mind Blast and Devouring Plague and Mind Spike from Disc. You don't have that many shady spells for when you get locked out. Second tier Phantasm again. That hasn't been changed. That's still a 3-second immunity to ranged attacks, and it's a snare breaker and root breaker, which is just amazing. Can't complain. Don't think the other talents in this tree even hold a candle to it. Angelic Feather's a bit of a joke, to be honest. Can't see when that would ever be useful over Body and Soul. Body and Soul may be useful in certain comps when you know you're not going to get targeted as the priest. From Darkness Comes Light. It's an instant flash heal, 15% chance to proc. 2 RNG for me, I think. Don't like it. It's good when it procs, it's terrible when it doesn't, so yeah. And when you look at the other talents, Mindbender, 1 minute cooldown on your Shadow Fiend, does great damage. Like, you wouldn't want to pass it up, to be honest. And then Power Word Solace, which is just a slightly weaker smite that you can spam to get mana back. I'll have to check it out and see how it is in arena compared to the Mindbender. Alright, Desperate Prayer, the old favourite. Can't go wrong. 30% heal, 2-minute cooldown. Nothing really much more to add. But when you compare it to the other two, it makes it a bit more difficult. You got Spectral Guise, 30-second cooldown, and you can use it to avoid CC. You can use it to avoid damage, as long as you pop it before the cast goes off. If you pop it after the cast will still hit you. It's not a vanish. And same thing for Fade, which is a shame because that'd be nice. But what you can do is you can Spectral Guise stuff like Deep Freeze, and you'll actually be stealthed in the Deep Freeze, which is pretty nice, until they get you out, of course, off the image. Last one, Angelic Bulwark. Don't really like it. It's just the Shaman version one, but worse, because the Shaman one just is natively better. This only procs once every 90 seconds, and it's like the absorption is really low for what it should be, to be honest. And compared to something like Spectral Guise, there's no way I'd ever take this. Twist of Fate, it's more of a shadow spell, I believe. I don't really like it for disc because you don't want to really be letting your party go under 20%, and you want to be killing the enemies when they go under 20%, and I mean 15% more damage as a disc priest isn't really worth it, since your damage isn't that great anyway. Power Infusion, standard, not been changed, except the cooldown actually is now 2 minutes instead of 1.5. And Divine Insight, which I think needs some tweaking. The Discipline version is when you penance, there's a 40% chance your powered shield will ignore and not cause Weaken Soul effect. I don't think it's obvious enough when this procs, when you already have Weaken Soul. What they need to do is either make it more obvious, or they need to make it when it procs, Weaken Soul comes off. Or both, because right now it feels like you can miss procs with that. Okay, final tier, Cascade, Divine Star, Halo. I feel like these are all more PvE AoE healing abilities. They all feel pretty gimmicky and have this tiny niche which will be very rarely usable in PvP. Especially for the mana cost. They're all really high mana cost when you compare them to stuff like Flash Heal 20k mana, guaranteed, like, I don't know, 80k heal, versus this, like you're never going to use this over Flash Heal to heal somebody ever. You're never going to use this over Smite to do damage. 15k mana to do what, like 12k damage to people in a line, as opposed to where is it? 9k mana to do 27k guaranteed damage to a target. It's just, I don't know. Doesn't really make sense to me. Like, yeah, it's instant. Yeah, you can use it while running, but a bit lackluster, to be honest. Cascade, I haven't tried, but it feels like it's either going to break CC or it's not going to go on who you want. It feels slightly random and again a bit lackluster. Halo, same thing. I'll show you it now. It's really slow and it doesn't do that great damage. 76k damage for 45k mana, when I can like smite for 31k. I don't know, maybe it's good for burst, but overall I feel like the mana cost is slightly too high for this type of spell. I mean, it's going to break CC as well, which you don't want. At the end of the day, I think this one's better than the other two, but the mana cost does seem a little high compared to what it does. Archangel, been over it already, hasn't been changed. It's still 5% healing per stack of evangelism, which you stack by smiting, penancing. Let's go through here quickly. Void Shift, baseline now, no longer a talent. Still does the same thing, 6-minute cooldown. Nothing more to add to it really. Good spell, good for using in emergencies. Kind of a little bit like Spirit Link Totem, in that you can use it, save somebody, but you are going to be more in trouble yourself, so you need to watch your positioning when you use it. It's got a 40-yard range though, which is really nice. If it was 30-yard range, it would be really scary to use. Divine Fury, added hit, Penance, Smite and Holy Fire. That's good, but needs to have Fear and Dispel magic on there as well. Otherwise, this priest is going to have to get a hit once again, which is a pain in the arse, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Wait, I'll just take a quick look at my glyphs. Right now I have glyphs for dueling a mage, which I took Glyph of Holy Fire, Glyph of Reflect Shield, and Glyph of Inner Focus, which I found to be the best glyphs for the job. I didn't need Desperation, because I found that if I fucked up with being too low of Deep Freeze and had to Pain Suppression, then I'd already be so far behind that I would lose on mana anyway. So I wanted to go for a bit more of an offensive build, to make the duel as short as possible. Notable glyphs, I think Holy Fire is nice. Field is nice, but you can't really use it against unless you're against, you're against certain teams. Holy Nova is now a glyph, but again you can't get it as disc, because of the Shadow of Death change. You now have to use a glyph to make Shadow of Death usable over 25%, above 20%, sorry. Which basically takes up one of your glyph slots permanently. And in Arena you're going to always want Glyph of Desperation as well, because I mean you can get given a stun, otherwise it's really scary to not have that as a priest. So that leaves you one glyph slot left, which will either be Holy Fire, Inner Focus, or let's have a look, what else have we got? Leap of Faith is nice, but again, can't use it. It's too small of an effect to make it worth it. If you're getting somebody out of there, it doesn't really matter if they've got slows or not. I guess it just means you can grip roots, but again, you can dispel those. Yeah, not a big fan. Penance, while moving, kind of nice, but again, not really good enough to warrant using over Aura Mastery or Holy Fire. And the added 20% mana cost is just like a kick in the face. In my opinion, glyphs shouldn't have negative effects. It just makes them lackluster. Shield, old favourite, nice, bit of extra healing. Prayer Mending, nice, bit of extra healing, but again, can't use them both because need Aura Mastery. I'm saying this in hindsight because I haven't actually done any Arena yet, just some duels. Arena and Battlegrounds isn't open yet on beta. As soon as it is, I'll make a video and show you guys what it's like. What else is there? Renew's changed a little bit. It's now 33% more each tick, but one less tick, which is how it was originally. And then finally Shadow of Death. So I guess my glyph setup will look something like this for Arena. Again, I feel like this is an issue. A couple of these things, maybe make Glyph of Inner Focus, Glyph of Shadow of Death baseline, because right now Discipline doesn't really have any choice for glyphs for Arena. they have to get these 3, because without them it's like bad times. Minor glyphs are all cosmetic now. There's no like increased range on shackle or reduced mana cost or anything. So it's stuff like this, borrowed time displayed visually, which is kind of nice. Yeah, you can see the little clock above your head. It's cool. The other ones are worse. It's like levitate gives you a cloud of smoke. Resurrection shows who you're rezzing. It's like more for PvE and cosmetic reasons, really. So yeah, I've been talking way too long already. Pretty sure everyone's either stopped watching that right now or has fallen asleep. But yeah, there was quite a lot to talk about, and I couldn't be bothered making more than one video. So yeah, enjoy the scenery, and I'll get back to you with another video when Battlegrounds comes out. So yeah.